Hello, everyone. How you doing? You're very welcome to this week's CASTLEREA Cavalier Basketball Podcast with myself, Aidan Raftery. And as always, from CASTLEREA Cavaliers, we have player and coach Tomas Callaghan. Hello, Thomas. How are you? Are you well?
I'm good, Aidan. Thanks. A lot to catch up on, so looking forward to chatting about it.
That's it, and plenty to talk about is right. We couldn't chat last week because of unforeseen circumstances. So yeah, plenty to catch up on, and we'll start off first of all, I suppose, with the men's team.
Yeah, so we've been in great form. We've actually had three games since I talked to you last. Or the last game I talked to you about was Donegal away that we won.
Yeah.
So we went to Sligo, and then we were at home to Carrick, and then we went to Mohill last weekend. So I'll just run through those games real quick, the
Yeah.
results and sort of quick bit on how they went. So Sligo away, um Sligo, it's hard to know really what team they'll put out because they've such a big kind of selection of players. Um, they're kind of blessed in like they'll always have boys around that are well able to play basketball. But we went down and it was close enough. They're always competitive. They're always a lot to deal with. 1 to 5 on the floor for them will always be able to play. But I think we had the mismatch with them in the post. So they really targeted Joe Fleming as the like one guy they could kind of manage in there. But luckily for us, we've David Quinn and we've Joseph Henry back on form who were able to really impose themselves in the post. So Joseph ended up having 28 points. He had
Not a
two
bad
three
total.
pointers, but yeah, he had two 3 pointers when like he found his chances outside. But 22 points from just back to the basket, getting physical. Spin moves. He had one lovely spin move through the lane at one stage to finish left. It was so nice. So he really had his whole footwork on display, and he was just able to, if we couldn't get Joseph, then we could get Quinner in another mismatch, and Joe they just couldn't handle the size in there. Not just the size, but also the finishing and the footwork and positioning. So we identified that early, and we went back to it, and we came out. Um, I think it was a 17-point win in the end. So
And was
um,
that the first time this season you played them, or have you played them already this season? And if you played them already this season, if you were to compare the two performances, the first performance earlier on in the season and the most recent one, how would you compare them?
Yeah, well, it was actually good to get one back over them because we lost to them in overtime in
Yeah,
Castlereagh in the first half of the season. So that was a bit of a sickener to lose a close one like that.
yeah,
So it was good to get a good win over them. Difference wise, I think it's just our offense. And obviously, at the early part of the year, Joseph was having trouble with his wrist. He was coming off surgery.
yeah,
So to have what he was then compared to what he was that evening in Sligo. More recently, 28 points in the post, he could hardly miss.
yeah,
It was, and it's a world of difference for us just to be able to have him. Just even if we're 15 seconds into the offense, we can just say, okay, let's just dump it inside to Joseph and see what he can do. And that night, usually it was a score. So yeah, very happy to win. On the other side, Martin Mulligan, he's would have went to school in St. Nathan's and Balladreen. He was playing for Sligo, and he gave us a lot of trouble. He was point guard for them. He's really shifty. Very tough to stop him going by on the perimeter, and he
and
was able to
that's a
shoot
college
fairly well.
that's renowned for basketball as well as Gaelic football, isn't it? So he would be from a college that would have he'd have a high level of basketball in him, wouldn't he, from playing for Naties?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, we have the lads on our team, Sean McDermott and Joe Fleming and Dara Lowry, who are Naties alumni, I suppose. And so we were kind of, I know we played them in a friendly at the start of this year where he kind of mentioned to Martin about maybe coming to our side. But no, he stuck with Sligo for the year. And, he was kind of their main threat. He was facilitating all his teammates scoring and he was scoring himself. So we managed him fairly well. And thankfully, we came out with a good win. And just in that one, the key was just to post up and going inside against them. We identified it early, went back to it time after time, and it paid off. Then we were at home to Carrick after that. I think that was the Thursday night in Sligo, and then it was the Saturday at home to Carrick. So it was a quick turnaround, but we hit the ground running. Uh, we were up 28-10 at the end of the first quarter, where we were just able to get stops and get out in the fast break. Sean McDermott was getting scores early on the fast break. We were getting steals. and getting easy baskets. So and we knew going in, Carrick have Kevin Brady inside, tall, good basketball player. So we were just able to. Our focus was don't let him. First of all, don't let them pass it into him easily, and if he does get it, don't give him any easy shots, and then box him out. Because if you kind of quieten him down, you'll manage okay against Carrick, and I think we did that fairly well. Now we had his moments, of course. Every good player is going to find ways to make his presence felt, but I think we limited it well, and we were able to rest guys because obviously the 2 games in 3 days was tough. So
Were you able, with that in mind, Thomas? Were you able to stick to your usual game plan or your usual approach or game plan, or had you to change it for this one, or had you to change throughout the game, or how did you approach it?
well, definitely, I think against Carrick, like our game plan's always defense, play
Yeah.
hard defense, organized, and then try and get easy baskets on the fast break. I think we had more opportunities against Carrick because I think if they found it more difficult to get shots against us, once we kind of took Kevin Brady out of the equation in any offense, we were able to either force a miss or get a turnover and go out in the fast break and score layups. So and like I said, Sean got a lot of success on that. Tatvadas Kersoulis got a lot of minutes off the bench. He got success on that. And Michael Henry as well came in and used his speed and athleticism, and he got success off that. Against Sligo, it was different in the sense that Sligo, like especially with Martin Mulligan at point guard, and they have nice, crafty outside players. It was harder to force a miss. It was harder to force turnovers. So I think that was the difference. We just had to be more patient against Sligo, and then I think against Carrick we could afford to be more aggressive in trying to force them into mistakes, and it
And
paid off.
where were Carrick strongest? Was it out the wing, or kind of in more in the centre, or up front, or like defensively?
Yeah, definitely with Kevin in there inside, any chance, even off their misses, we'd force a bad shot, but we weren't done. We had to box him out because, he's so good. He's so long and athletic, it's very hard to deal with. So definitely Kevin is their focal point. Um, but I think we managed him definitely enough early on to get a lead. And then we were just able to hold on to it. We were up 28-10 at the end of the first. And I think we ended up winning by that 20-point margin. So we were just able to keep them at that length for the rest of the game. So we were happy with that. And then last weekend, the last game of the 3 we've had since the last podcast, we were in Mohill. So Mohill hammered us there before Christmas in the first half of the season. They came down and we were just off the ball completely. A few lads were sick. There was injuries um, making
You
excuses
didn't need
there. But
any motivation for this one anyway, Thomas.
yeah, and I think even after that one in CASTLEREA, I think a few of the Mohill lads were like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you this evening? So
Yeah.
yeah, we were really up for it. Because I said it to the boys before the game. We've righted a lot of wrongs this half of the season, in terms of getting wins over teams.
Yeah.
Because we're on a nice little streak now. But this was probably the biggest one, just to kind of because it was such a beating they gave us. I think they bet us by 35 points or something. So
Yeah, but it's
they
sweet.
came,
It's sweet when you reverse the result, isn't it? Like
yeah,
you did them in the second leg, and you turn it around. That's a real satisfaction, both for you as a player and for you as a coach, and indeed the players as well. And everyone that would have been there for that defeat in before Christmas, it would have made it all that more sweeter as well.
yeah, definitely. Because personnel wise, before Christmas, we didn't have an excuse. We had everybody. We
Yeah,
weren't missing anyone. So it was like just I think, and especially for Sean Mack has been talking about the Mohill game since.
yeah.
The next time we play them, we have to
He was
friggin'
obviously itching to
be
put it
right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. So we went man to man. Boys were motivated. Mohill have 3 very strong players in Fiacre McGuinness, Cian McGuinness, and Tig Mulligan.
yeah,
Um, so it's always tough when there's 3, or more. 3 is players that are able to score consistently. So we went man to man. I took Tig, Sean took Fiacre, and David Quinn took Cian. And we don't usually play man to man. We usually sit in the zone, but we felt against these that we could, we just matched up well against them in that sense. And it was tough, but I think it worked. Because I think as the game went on, the Mohill lads still scored But I think as the game went on, just we wore them down a bit, and there was a bit of fatigue. And I think they were really felt like they were carrying their team. Scores weren't coming easy to them. They had to work for every score. So, because like I know, especially me and Sean, we talked about it being really glued to our men, and giving them nothing easy when they don't have the ball, like following them around and really denying them the pass. So, yeah, I think we did a great job. I think Fiacre did run up a pretty high score. I think he had 22 or that, but I think that it wasn't anything to do with Sean's performance. It's just that Fiacre is a very clever player. And I think like he just anytime Sean wasn't on him, or anytime the ball just broke where Sean just maybe wasn't in position or whatever, he just, made punished us. So but that being said, he had to rely on those kind of opportunities. It wasn't coming easily to them. It wasn't like their offense, their pass and moving was breaking us down, or their screen plays or whatever. They really had to make the most of like getting offensive rebounds, or if a ball went loose, and just broken play. And then on our offense, I was really happy. I personally had a good shooting night. There's some nights where they don't go in, but I think I made 6 3-pointers. Our first 9 points were three
You could
three
have been
pointers of mine.
blindfolded and they
So
would have went through. They would have.
yeah, because I was saying I always try and shoot one early, and then if that falls, I'll shoot another one and shoot another one. So the first three went in, and we were out to a 9 point lead early. So it was a good. I was very happy with that. Obviously, it was a great start, and then everybody else started to come into it. Joseph Henry had 18. He had a couple 3-pointers. He had success inside. And David Quinn as well had a lot of success inside. I think David had 18, or David had 17. Joseph had 18. So I think that trifecta scores is really a good sign of when we're playing well. Myself, Joseph Henry, and David Quinn, um, getting scores, and carrying, taking responsibility at that end of the court, and we did in this one. And for us, this one was probably the biggest game of the year. It was, if we had lost, we'd have no chance at the top four. So we really put the head down and knuckled down, and I was really happy to come out with the win. Um, our defense was excellent. The other two lads on the defense, so us three were guarding man to man, and we left Joseph and Joe Fleming kind of back at the basket to help. So if we did get beaten, they'd be there to force a tough shot. And they were excellent. They were always in the right spot. I was able to send Tig one way or the other if he did beat me, because Tig Mulligan's first step is so fast. So it's like I was going to get beaten a few times at least. But anytime I did, the boys were there to make him change direction, or make him put up an acrobatic shot rather than just an easy one. So yeah, I was really happy with the defensive execution. It was a bit of a risk, chancing man to man, but I think it really paid off. And I think Sean Mack really led the charge in trying to get us to play
Yeah.
man to man, backing ourselves. So I'm grateful for him for that, for really pushing that home, and it definitely paid off. So yeah, that leaves us with 7 wins and 8 losses with a game to go. So at the start of the year we were 0 for 7. So to come back and have a chance to go 8 and 8 to finish the year is just a sign of a really strong character. And the way we flipped the season around like we have, it's something to be very proud of. Now we still have to look. We need a few favors to try and qualify for the top four, but I think even if we do or don't make it at this stage, it's out of our control. But we still have a lot to be proud of, with how we responded and shook ourselves down, and flipped the season on its head.
That's it. And I suppose you're kind of thinking, well, if we had played like that in the first part of the season, he'd probably be top. But I suppose that since the turn of the new year, that leaves you at, if I'm correct, six wins in a row. Out of those 6 games, so you won all of your previous 6 games. So where does that leave you in the table then?
So currently we're sitting in third, but we've only 1 game left, and other teams have 3 games left, and they can go ahead of us. In terms of wins, we have Longford left, who they're not very high in the league, so not getting ahead of ourselves. But if we win that, it puts us at 8 wins and 8 losses. But I think Donegal are the team, and Castlebar as well, or Mayo Meteors, I should say. They have enough games and probably will favour themselves in them games to win, and they will go ahead of us, pushing us back to fifth. But it remains to be seen. You never know what might happen, especially they're in a rush now to get their games played before the deadline. I think Paddy's weekend is the deadline, so you never know. Hopefully, we get a shock result. Something might go our way, and we might sneak into that fourth spot. But like I said, we've a lot to be proud of the way we've found form and stuck at it and turned it around.
Yeah, so I suppose really, we'll talk about the Longford game in a second, but the fact that you have one game left and the others have to have theirs played by St Patrick's Day, or that probably gives you as a coach and maybe one or two of the players as well, if they want to, the opportunity to go to some of the other games and see what the other teams are doing. Like in case you make the top four, that you're playing in that you know what you're up against, if you know what I mean. If you qualify for the top four.
Yeah, look it. Well, if we do get fourth, like Ballina have won the league now, they've won all their games, so nobody can catch them. Ballina Braves, so I'm not sure anyone will go as far as Ballina to watch a game, but we know what we'd be up against if we do get fourth.
Yeah.
Ballina are very strong. They've Ronan McGarity there, who has National League experience, and he's still. It's not like he's an old head. He's still moving fast. He's still jumping high for rebounds and clattering into lads and attacking the paint and shooting threes well. So they're very strong all over the floor, physical, fast. They shoot well. The last day against them, I think we were within single digits at halftime, and they just made the next run, and we weren't able to make up for it. So, I think, and we pulled it out last year. I mean, last year we just got in fourth, and we managed to beat Athlone and Donegal to win the cup. So if it happens again that we sneak in fourth, I think we'll be quietly confident, especially with the form we've built up this half of the season, to really give Ballina a good crack if we make it.
That's it. And moving that brings us on to Longford, which is your last game. Is that this weekend or is it the following weekend?
Following weekend, so we have a nice little break. It's March 11th. It's at home, so hopefully you can get a good crowd down just to send us off, because the playoffs, if we do make it, will be in Longford. So hopefully we can get a good crowd down. It's a very winnable game for us. Longford, they're fond rivals of us. We have a good relationship with a lot of the lads on that team. Ty McNevin, Owen Creevy and Benny McGurr are their main threats. They're good lads, good basketball players. So it should be a good competitive game. And it'll be enjoyable as well, because neither team really has anything to lose at this stage of the season. So looking forward to it, and hopefully Saturday, March 11th, we can get a good crowd down to the hub to finish out the season.
That's it, and that's it. That's a game we'll cover probably next week or the week after as well. Maybe next week in more detail. So that brings us on to the ladies team. How have the ladies team been doing?
Ladies team have kind of come into it's been better, since obviously we had a few disappointing results after Christmas. We've had two games there recently. Last Saturday, same evening, we played the men's team. We played a double header down there, so the ladies played first before us. And Mohill are very strong in the ladies league. We knew we were going to be up against it. We only had 7 players, and I think Kerry Harkin was on a dodgy ankle as well.
Yeah.
So it was going to be a struggle. It was going to be, and Mohill play a very fast pace. Jasmine Reynolds is their point guard, and Quiva McGuinness is their kind of scorer in chief. And they're very quick, agile, fast athletes. The pace is always up with them. They're up and down, up and down. So it was always going to be tough for us. But we put up a great fight, and there was a lot of great offense. We focused on ourselves. We didn't go in expecting to win, or even like we didn't even focus on the result. We just focused on the performance. And I think we were excellent. Girls stepped up. Rachel Mulligan looked for the ball in different positions. Like, I know I talk about this with the girls a lot, is we don't want players to be passive. A lot of girls are used to just catching and passing, catching and passing. But like Rachel and Kerry and Megan Keaveney as well, were really looking for the ball in different positions. Mohill play man to man, so we kind of brought Sarah Tyrrell out of the post and let her facilitate. So that'd draw a post defender out from under the basket, and we let Sarah try and find cuts, find different options. So and it really worked. We got a lot of great shots. And we finished a lot as well. That's the score at halftime was 27-20 to Mohill. So to be within 7 points was way more than what we expected. So our heads were screwed on, and we were like, geez, we might steal a win here. I think Mohill did a great job on Sandra. Sandra Kane was very frustrated at the end, but last year we went down to Mohill and Sandra hit 5 threes in a row at one stage in the second half. she's an excellent shooter. So Mohill were glued to her like nothing I've seen really in that one. So Sandra was left frustrated. She still found a few chances to score, but they really assigned anyone that was going on to mark Sandra was all over her. So Sandra had a frustrating night, but I think um the rest of the girls kind of stepped up, and the passing was good, ball movement was good. And we definitely gave Mohill a fright. Now in the end, it was legs, definitely, and fouls. We were in foul trouble, so players had to come out. And Kerry, like I can't say enough, not just Kerry, but all the girls. Everybody was exhausted. Everybody left themselves out there. So I was really happy with the performance. It's a moral victory. Mohill ended up winning by 20 or that, but we were right with them up until the fourth quarter, and then the legs just kind of let us down. Then the Monday night, so quick turnaround again. We went to Longford with the same group. We didn't have Rachel Mulligan, but Katie Murphy was back available. So we had 7 going down, and we got a win. And the girls really deserved it, especially this kind of group of 7, 8 that between injuries and illness and football coming back for the rest of the squad, it's really been left up to these crew. And they deserved to win. We won by 2 points. And I was delighted with Sandra. After her tough game against Mohill, she came out. She had 18 points in this one to lead everybody. She shot a couple of 3-pointers. She was up
She
and
was
down in
able
the
to let
fast
off
break.
steam after the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
which was
So
good.
it was
And she
kind
kind
of a
of needed
relief.
that when you have a game like that against in the previous match. You need to in the next one have a good game, and that brings the morale back up again, and that's I suppose from your point of view and from everyone's point of view, that was nice to see from her.
Yeah, definitely. And Sandra's great mentally. She's a 3-point shooter like me. So when you have a miss a shot or you have a bad streak, you just can't. You kind of have to get over it and move on. And that's what Sandra kind of did game to game in this situation. And yeah, she was brilliant. Sarah Tyrrell was excellent for us again. Her rebounding, her running. She had 11 points against Longford. She just set the tone really that we're going to go out and we're going to win this one. Because we deserve a win and we haven't had one in a while. And she was led the charge. She was excellent again, facilitating everybody else. She was patient in the post. She was trusting her shooters. And Katie Murphy knocked down a few shots. Kerry Harkin again knocked down a few shots. Rebecca Kane off the bench was excellent, running the fast break, finishing like same against Mohill. Rebecca had 12 points. Sandra's little sister. She's so fast, and she's coming back into her own now after a knee injury. Really, I've been really impressed with her these last 2-3 games. And again, Megan Keaveney and Chloe Finan, really, I'm trusting them in because we've only one kind of sizable player with Sarah. Chloe and Megan have to kind of play above their height. So they were fighting hard and getting rebounds, and they did all I could ask them. So even though we've only had one, like the one win the last day in the last few, I've been really proud of the group for sticking at it. And it was really satisfying win the last day. So we have one more game left against Boyle, date to be determined. And like that, I think it's between us and Boyle to get to the top 4. So we're still in with a shout.
That's great, and that takes us on to the under-16 boys. How have they been doing? Have they had any matches lately, and have they a match coming up?
No, still quiet with them. They do have a game coming up, a big one. They're welcoming Longford Phoenix to the hub on this Sunday. So I think it's kind of between Longford and us, the Cavaliers, and I think Carrick are in with a shout at that under-16 boys league top spot. So it's a big one. Longford beat us by 16 the first day. Then we played them in a friendly before the boys All Ireland final, and Castlerea won fairly handy. So this one is going to be a nice kind of finish off the season. Let's see how we're fixed. So it's going to be a big one, and the boys are looking forward to it and having a big game because it's their first real test since their All Ireland game.
That's it. Yeah. So I suppose that run with the college actually, playing in big games like that on the lead up to the final, and of course playing in the All Ireland final even though they lost. That'll really benefit them in the previous games and in this upcoming game as well. So wishing them all the best. So listen, thanks very much for doing CASTLEREA Cavaliers basketball podcast with us again. And you'd like to give a big shout out to your sponsors.
Yeah, as always, thanks a million to McGorty's for covering a lot of our running costs. Thanks a million to Super Value and Harmac for looking after our kits for the season. Mike Callaghan Construction and Bastion Kitchen for outfitting us with warm-up tops. Amigo International as well have been great to us, and Whispy's Discount Store have looked after us as well this year. So thanks a million to all our sponsors. We're proud to represent you.
That's great. Well, listen, thanks very much for taking the time out to do the podcast with us, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right, thanks a million.
No problem. Thanks very much. And that was Tomas Callaghan, player manager with CASTLEREA Cavaliers.